Inside our New York studios, Brent Stover, Beanie Wells, Kevin Carter, and Randy Cross. In the Big 12, a matchup with plenty on the line for the college football playoff. A BYU win over Texas Tech, and both of these teams have qualified. Working against the Cougars, a 1-9 record in their last 10 games against AP top 5 teams. We thought this would be a phenomenal game. It turned out to be one-sided. Texas Tech riding a 5-game winning streak with Behren Morton, LJ Martin, 14-play, 90-yard drive. BYU taking command early on, Beanie.
Texas Tech down 7-3. Behren Morton takes a deep shot, back shoulder to Corey Eakin, making a nice catch for the score. 33-yard touchdown. Originally ruled down at the 1, but the replay overturned. It was a TD.
Third quarter, BYU still down 6. Behren Bachmeier with time. Looking left, intercepted by Ben Roberts. Down to the BYU 11-yard lines. Roberts with the massive defensive play. And the very next play, Cameron Dickey takes the snap, and he does the rest. Untouched for the score. Red Raiders up 21-7 after a 2-point conversion.
And early in the fourth quarter, BYU down 24-7. Bachmeier throwing again, and it's Roberts again with a one-handed snag. Roberts coming up with a Big 12 championship game record-tying interception, his second of the day. Oh, yeah, and on 4th and 2, Morton gets it out to Eakin, who has the space to get it up the field. Another late game sealer.
And Texas Tech wins it going away. 34-7 is the final. Behren Morton 20-33, 215 and 2 touchdowns. As a team, Texas Tech runs for 159. Their 12 wins, the most in a season in school history, and their first outright conference title since 1955. Joey McGuire, the head coach, after the Big 12 championship victory.
Texas Tech's never won a Big 12 championship, and we're now the Big 12 champions, and so we're the first, and we've done something nobody's ever done, and I'm proud of them. I can't wait to where the CFP is going to put us tomorrow. We're looking forward to the bye. We're hoping and expecting that that's where we'll be because we're football banged up, and if you let us get healthy, man, I really believe we've got another gear.
Okay, he's pushing for the bye. First things first, this was a resounding 34-7 victory.
No question about it. You know, we talk about the first time BYU went out and faced the Red Raiders, and they were dominated. This one was even worse, and it was more due in part to what they were able to do on the defensive side. We thought Behren Bachmeier kind of learned the lesson in terms of holding on to the ball a little bit too long, forcing throws. Well, no, he did the exact same thing. You know, the linebackers for this Texas Tech team was nothing short of amazing. We talk about Rodriguez, Bailey, Ben Roberts was the superstar of the day. He was all over the football field, coming up with 2 interceptions, making key tackles. I was impressed by this Texas Tech team, and I wouldn't be surprised if the committee had this Texas Tech team and then maybe top 2, especially after today unfolds.
You can look at it as, really good defense, which I definitely credit Texas Tech for, but I was also paying attention to the number of turnovers by this BYU team in the first half because looking at the matchup, what happened last time, they were trying to keep up with Texas Tech. Texas Tech has number 1 in first half passing yards in the country. They're number 1 in first half scoring, so there's a lot of ground for them to make up, and there was a lot of pressure on Behren Bachmeier to keep that. So whether it's good defense or trying to keep pace with a high-powered team, the answer was still the same. This Texas Tech defense is for real, and they were all over the field. Just Johnny on the spot, never out of place. And when you're playing a zone defense like they do, they play that old Nick Saban cover 2. Okay, 2 deep, 5 underneath, and it gives very small windows to throw the ball into. And Behren Bachmeier wasn't that guy the first time they played. A lot of times when you go into games on defense, your goal should be, hey, if we hold them under 300 yards, we can win this game. Well, they held BYU under 200 total yards today. Utter domination.
And the 4 turnovers.
And in fairness to Bachmeier, he did hurt his ankle early on in the game, was kind of limping around, and wasn't his usual self for most of this football game. But that doesn't mitigate anything about how complete Texas Tech is right now. If you look at them objectively, and match them up against anybody else in this tournament when the tournament does get going here, and we'll find out who in the next day or two. I would take them against almost anybody. At the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, they're skill players, they're playmakers on the defensive side, they're playmakers on the special teams standpoint. I mean, how many big special teams plays does this team seem to make week after week after week? I don't know if there's anybody else. And Ohio State's the closest thing to Tech right now as far as being a complete team.
Beanie, we have talked so much, and with good reason, about the top teams and the playoff caliber teams in the SEC and the Big Ten. I think sometimes Texas Tech, it's hard to say this, they just won the Big 12 championship by 27 points, gets overlooked at times. But to Randy's point, this Behren Morton slings it all over the field. Coy Eakin, a couple of touchdowns, 66 yards receiving. Reggie Virgil got so much speed and great hands. They've got dudes on their team. I just wonder big picture, especially if they do get that bye, which we would expect them, I think, to do based on what we just saw. They get healthy. I mean, this team could make some serious noise.
No question about it. And you didn't even mention the two running backs, the two-headed monster they have in the backfield, and Dickey and Williams. The thing about Texas Tech is they're not the old Texas Tech, the Big 12 style of football team that we've been used to seeing a couple of years. We got something called the NIL. That allowed those guys to go out and get one of the best teams money could put together in terms of getting guys in the transfer portal and getting – it's one thing to go out and get guys in the transfer portal, but it's one thing to get guys to actually fit what you do and come in and be able to produce. They were able to do that, and that's why they're winning a Big 12 championship. That's why, honestly, they're one of the best teams in the country, not just in their conference. And like you just said, they're going to make some noise in the college football playoff because they're complete on both sides of the ball. Yeah. You can't bottle them up and say we're going to make them one-dimensional, especially on the offensive end, because they can hit you over the top. They can hit you in a hard-nosed football game, and then they can get after the pass rusher.
And watching them play this year, we have found something out for sure. There's a big difference between NIL money and oil money. Oil money goes a long way.
Kevin, you know all about that.
No, to your point, and to your point, Beanie, that's what they did. They went out and got the specific pieces that they needed to play the type of style on both sides of the ball that they needed. Like, when you look at their defense, and I talk about, I know it got real technical X's and O's with the cover 2 and 5 underneath and 2 deep, but to have that kind of to play that kind of concept on defense, understand what you have to have. You got to have 4 guys up front that can get after the passer independently of any type of blitz or any type of scheme. They have to be able to win independently up front because you got to trust those guys in the back end to play that kind of coverage. And how they're able to squeeze the windows and passing lanes, it's really high technical stuff that they're executing defensively in a short amount of time, right? We're talking about, bringing people into your program, acclimating them to your culture, but also getting them to do what you want to do and having them play complementary football with teammates that they don't know. This was a miraculous coaching job, a metamorphosis of this team, because when I talk about the Big 12, man, we don't talk defense, okay? I understand historically there's a lot of 45 to 47 type ending double overtime games that usually happen. Not the case with Texas Tech.
So this will be a 1-bid lead.
Yeah, well, how great was that getting Bailey from Stanford? I mean, Rodriguez, unbelievable, but Bailey up front has made a huge difference to that defense.
Talking about Jacob Rodriguez, going to be up for the Heisman. He is the heart and soul of that defense and even gets in at fullback.
Yeah, no doubt, man. He's a playmaker. But the thing that I want to talk about with this football team is Joey McGuire. We talk about coaches that have these long lineage of, great history of where they came from, but he's a guy that's a homegrown high school football coach that is able to get it done on the biggest level, get guys to buy in. That's not an easy thing to do, especially to turn around a program like he's done with Texas Tech.
How disappointing, real quick, is it for the Big 12 to only get one in?
Well, look, the BYU needed a better showing. We said that if they had a better showing, maybe a one-possession loss today, then the Big 12 would be having 2 teams in, because the resume for BYU, it looks as good as they play against Texas Tech, right? Yeah. That's basically the measuring stick, because they, relatively weak strength of schedule otherwise, but the one game that you had to make it count and you had to show up and show that you belonged in the conversation with the 12 best teams in the country, you got to show up against one of these teams. And so they didn't do that. So that's why there's only 1 bid. And the committee's been showing you over and over that they think that there's only one team in the Big 12 that's going to get in. They've been showing you that model each and every week. BYU had a chance to change it, but they came up short.
Well, between the Big 12 and the ACC, there should be 0 birthright spots in this playoff. You should have to earn them.
I agree.
That was a good final word, Randy. I stand corrected. Randy had one more to get in. Digging at the ditch for the Big 12. 34-7 in the championship game.